Welcome to the SPE podcast, powered by the Society of Petroleum Engineers. You're listening to SPE Live, maximizing utilization of subsea well intervention equipment. The audio from this episode was previously recorded on June 12th, 2024.
Welcome to SPE Live. Today we'll be talking about maximizing utilization of subsea well intervention equipment. My name is Billy Pierce. I'm the Senior Account Manager here at Gilmore Technologies in Houston, and I'll be your moderator today. Today's SPE Live is going to be right at about 30 minutes, and we want to encourage you to ask questions throughout the show, throughout the presentation. Fill them in there in the comments, and we'll absolutely get to them, whether it's during the conversation or at the end. Before we get started, I do want to invite each and every one of you watching and attending today to attend the SPE Well Intervention, the Subsea Well Intervention Symposium, August 13th through the 15th this year in Galveston, Texas. We've been putting on this symposium for some years now. It's something I'm very proud and excited to be a part of. It gives you the opportunity to really immerse yourself in a unique industry journey through high pressure, high temperature solutions, cutting edge riserless light well intervention techniques, and the latest plug and abandonment campaign strategies for decommissioning and putting those wells to bed when they're done. All within an overarching theme this year. The overarching theme this year is rapidly unlocking value in an energy transition world. It's now my pleasure to introduce our guests for this SPE Live. Our first guest is going to be Jack Sanford. Jack Sanford is a professional engineer with over 34 years of experience in all disciplines of oil and gas in the E&P sector. Currently, Jack is a senior advisor at Talos Energy. Prior to Talos, he was the director of drilling and completion and DWD&C manager at Quarter North. Before joining Quarter North, he worked for multiple companies as a consulting engineer, including Noble, E&I, Exxon, and Amoco. He's published over 15 technical papers and presented multiple industry symposiums. He has a master's degree in petroleum engineering, an undergrad in both petroleum engineering and geology, all from Texas A&M. Our second guest today is going to be Agnaldo Magnum. Agnaldo is currently the implementer of drilling rig technologies at Petrobras. Agnaldo holds a master's degree in electrical engineering from UFPE Brazil and an MBA in business intelligence from PUC Rio, both in Brazil. He has over 14 years of experience and has worked as a rig maintenance engineer at Petrobras, their self-owned offshore drilling rigs, as an inspector of offshore contractor drilling rigs, and as a coordinator responsible for a Petrobras-owned platform rigs and all their planned maintenance stops. Jack and Agnaldo, welcome to SPE Live.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Billy.
You're very welcome. Thank you both for being here. I really appreciate y'all taking time both to write the papers and the content and to do the wonderful work that you've done within our industry and sharing it with us here this morning. Thank you so very much. So let's jump right into it, y'all. Both of you have done some pretty impressive work in the industry, in our sector, and it's stuff that we'd love to highlight leading into the symposium and just share with folks here at SPE Live. So Jack, you did a bunch of very interesting work changing the way that we configure rigs during flowbacks, for flowbacks, in order to get more out of the fluids that we use during workovers and interventions. Can you tell us a little bit about the kind of work that you did there?
Yeah, let's go ahead and move to slide one. I want to start off first by acknowledging my co-authors there, Dylan Bodden and Brandon Prudhomme, because they really made this possible for us when we tried this. And what this is a additional flowback equipment. It's equipment that we added behind our well test equipment that allowed us to reuse the process equipment and try to identify four key objectives. I mean, what we did, we were trying to minimize the environmental impact, maximize the operational efficiency by reclaiming and reusing fluid. But we want to do this when we reduce the overall cost. I mean, and sometimes you have to spend a little money to make a little money. So that's what we tried to do. And then prove up this new technology in deep water environment. So this is a PNID, and it shows its four major components. Is we have a centrifuge that allows us to spin out the oil and water. It first goes through a processing or gas buster, then it goes through the centrifuge. Then we have a second stage where we use a zeolite component, which really just pulls the oil away and allows us to split the water out. And then finally, a carbon vessel that allows it to polish it to allow us to discharge overboard. So that's the system we have. What Excellent. The is about is a case history. We tried this on 4 different types of wells.
4 different types.
Yes, sir. If you go to the next slide, I could show what we have, and you can see the 4 wells listed across the top and some of the things that we were able to do. We tried to prove up the technology on just a simple safety valve workover change, and these are all really major wells. Each one of these wells, I think the first well was the shallowest. It was only 25,000 feet. Only. Yes, only. And the next 3 were 27 to 30,000 feet in depth and very high pressures. So we did a safety valve workover. Then we did a coiled tubing stimulation. You can see there at the bottom kind of the cost benefit. We really saw some benefits for the system there. On an initial completion, we were able to do the flowback and then, again, minimize the environmental impact and maximize the operational. But probably the biggest one, and these kind of make the best papers, is when there's a major train wreck, this is when you see the benefit of having this system available.
That's right. So, what is the difference? So it's putting in a second flowback system.
That's correct.
To give, so you've got more footprint. It's going to take up necessarily more space. What's the difference between this kind of system and the type of systems that we've sort of grown up seeing out there on the rigs?
Typically, you do a 2 or 3 stage separation through regular well test equipment, and that goes to a storage tank, and you either pump it off to a vessel. We're able to take the fluids that are still in 2-phase, the oil and completion brine or oil and water, and separate it out and pull all the oil out that allows the fluid to be discharged overboard or allow the fluids to be reused. So obviously you don't want to pump back completion brine with any hydrocarbons and then pump it back down hole. So that's where we saw the benefit in like the coiled tubing operations, is we could reuse the fluids. And then also in the 4th well, where we had the major issues where we had to recirculate the riser 3 times, then we had to put coiled tubing on it. And in those situations, we were able to reuse 3 to 4,000 barrels of zinc bromide, which is very expensive fluid.
Very expensive. Absolutely. So was there a problem that you observed that this was the solution that you were looking for? What sort of problems presented themselves or challenges presented themselves that made you take this kind of an action? Because this is it's almost counterintuitive. You wouldn't think that it's more efficient to use more equipment.
Well, it started out with you have high disposal costs in deep water. And when you're flowing back a well and you're getting 7,000 barrels of oil back to the platform and putting on a flow vessel, you would actually like to get some money for that. But it takes a certain requirement in the oil and the water. So you're either having to pay for disposal or you could actually get paid for the oil. And you don't want to have to pay for disposal of some of the brines if you can clean them up enough and hit the regulatory requirements and discharge it overboard. So both of those were able to be achieved with this system, which allowed us to reuse fluid and minimize the amount of disposal that we have to do at the end. So it started off as that, and then we saw the benefits when you run into major MPT events. I mean, probably the best thing to do is, and you go ahead to our last slide, it kind of talks about the results, is basically we were able to achieve everything. We proved up the system. We did minimize the environmental impact we didn't have to dispose a lot. We were able to maximize the efficiency because the zinc bromide's over $1,000 a barrel. If I'm having to buy new fluid instead of reusing, we were able to reuse about 3,000 barrels of fluid for an extended time period. And you can see there, I have listed, there's about 10,000 barrels of fluid we reuse. Well, that would have been $10 million. I mean, so there's very few items that you can identify that can save you $10 million in operation. So the equipment more than paid for itself.
Let's talk about that zinc for a minute. Now zinc bromide is expensive, but when you're using it, it's because you've got a situation where your well or something down there is quite powerful, and you really need that fluid weight to be that primary means of well control. Did it take a lot to get buy-in from your partners and regulators to basically use used fluid? Was there any hesitance to say, yeah, I'll take some used zinc bromide, please?
No, it's the workover fluids are pretty normal for operations. You have to have a kill weight fluid, or sometimes you can do it as an underbalance fluid like in coiled tubing operations, but it's fairly common. It's just more of a company deciding, it's like, I'm going to reuse this fluid and it won't damage the formation. So the worst thing you can do is damage the completion you got. You're trying to keep that from happening. Right. But you want to optimize the efficiency associated with it. So the regulatory issue was, this is equipment that's there. Well test equipment has to be stamped and approved by the government. This is downstream of that, and it wasn't required to get stamped, but we did get it stamped and approved by the government for operation.
So you went above and beyond the regulatory requirements.
Yes,
did you get any feedback from partners or regulators about this innovative approach?
I mean, obviously, partners love it when you're saving them $10 million. So it makes it really easy feedback. To start, though, it was like, why do you want to spend the extra money? It's kind of like belt suspenders. Yeah. It was great insurance. It more than paid for itself on the normal wells, but that train wreck well is the one that you really saw the benefit of.
What went wrong there, Jack? Or what was the challenge that you guys managed to overcome on that train wreck?
Well, there were lots of things associated with that. I mean, it's like, you know how that goes. Is once you have one problem, it goes to the next one. We had a crown plug release in the well, and we actually got oil in the riser, which is a large volume riser, and we had to circulate the riser clean with zinc bromide. If we had not been able to filter the oil out of it, we did that 3 times. Well, that's 6,000 barrels. That's $6 million by itself.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. And the process of doing that is not quick. You're paying for rig time. You're paying opportunity cost and whatever else you were getting ready to do that's not getting done. Yeah, there's a lot that goes in there. Never mind the additional dangers to the environment and personnel and everything else. That's a pretty big deal. Congratulations. Again, just counterintuitive, but proof that the answer isn't always the obvious answer.
That's correct.
Very, very well done. I'd like to say howdy to folks in the audience from Houston and from Saudi Arabia. It's great to see folks logging on to hear this kind of approach. We encourage you to go ahead and ask questions or put your comments in the chat, and we'll absolutely get to them. We'd love to hear from y'all. If there's stuff that you'd like to know, absolutely we'll revisit stuff. So go ahead and put the questions or your comments in the chat. Next up, let's talk to Agnaldo. Agnaldo, how you doing, man?
Hi, Bill. I'm great.
So you have been facing a different kind of challenge. Jack's loading more equipment onto vessels. You've been having trouble finding vessels.
Yeah. We have been trouble finding vessel, using our vessel to do our job, because we have a lot of jobs to be done in shallow waters, and they have. Nowadays, we just have DP rigs, right? It's more easy to find DP rigs. In Brazil, we just have one anchored rig, because it's a lot of cost to adapt the rigs to work in Brazil. So we just have one rig. We can put the slide one on live. Yeah. I try to explain. We have created the chart to help our internal clients to understand what is the opportunities of your fleet, what do you have in your fleet? So in the right side, we have three categories to separate the rigs themselves. So we still have anchored rigs. We use this a lot for shallow water. And you have two types. We have two types of DP rigs, right? We have a high specification and a low specification rigs. It's most the DP2 or DP3 rigs. It's almost that. It's not exactly like that, but it's almost that. It's a more capable propulsion system and a less capable propulsion system rigs. So we use this kind of chart to better indicate for the project what do we have and what you can use. This way we can consider...
Sort of an inventory of your toolbox, if you will.
Yeah. We have a huge toolbox and you can help the clients to choose what box is more adequate to do the job, right? In the left side, we have the vessels, the specialized vessel, light well intervention vessel, right? And you have a plus, double plus, triple plus. There is a difference between the two of them. For us, we have horizon-based vessels, yes, horizon-based operation and horizon-less operation. Here in Petrobras, we have been using the LWIV triple plus for almost 7 years. We have been doing several jobs in this kind of vessels. Now we try to put new technology to help us to retrieve the tubing. Now we want to be able to rotate the tubing even with this kind of vessel. So we have been working in this kind of vessel, and we still are looking for hired or put in our fleet a riserless vessel. We have a tender last month, 2 months ago, but we still are looking for this kind of vessel. We have some problems to bring this kind of vessel in your fleet. And we are still
the whole
discussing.
world is seeing some of this kind of thing where we're all looking for assets in our regions, and there's just a limited number of vessel assets out there.
Yeah,
there has been a trend for the past several years to only build those top spec, big DP, drill ship style vessels, to maximize the rate of return. But not every project needs, a generation 17, 30,000 foot of water drill ship, You
can imagine we have wells to abandon that was built in the 80s. So it's a small. You can not put a BOP like a huge BOP above this kind of wells.
And sometimes it's like trying to hang a picture with a sledgehammer, when you just need the right tool for the right job. So what kind of planning work did you do to prepare for this, to reappropriate or reassign vessels in whether they were in your fleet, company owned or contracted, to doing different kinds of work and reconfiguring them? What kind of planning work led up to this? Yeah,
we tried to bring the project before, right? We try to approach the project from the beginning and understand what challenge do they have in this kind of project, what challenge do we have in the case in every type of wells, and try to put technology or new ways to do this job. We have been working Tether BOP. We have been working reduced time for EDS with new technology. We have tried to bring new technology in new ways, even the real-time HISE analysis that will enable us to understand the scenario that are happening in the rigs in real time, not only in a office analysis, So
that's right. There was a time when all of that situational analysis had to be done on the rig by the well site leader or the company man and the OIM making decisions out there kind of unaided. Today, we've got wonderful communications in place. We've got real-time data that's being streamed and sent back to the beach, and we have literally global support. You can get support from engineers who are there in the office in Rio, Houston, Dubai, Aberdeen, everywhere in the world. Those kind of capabilities absolutely help us as an industry. Which of those capabilities did you lean on the most in order to sort of? Because I want to emphasize that changing the methodology of how we use existing tools is technology. Methodology is technology. Technology is not just new widgets, new tools. It is reconfiguring what we currently have and using it in a new and innovative way. That is absolutely technology innovation. So what steps did y'all take, and what tools did you reconfigure and reuse in order to get better results down there?
Yeah, we use a lot of old school technology, old school equipment, right? We have been using suction anchored, right? We have been using tethered. It's like a cable. You put cable in, stick up the cable, right? We have been using also. We try, for example, to allow the rotation in the triple plus light well intervention vessel. We try to use the power swivel. Even the power swivel, it's on our toolbox to use it in other way with a new way to see it, a new use for this kind of equipment. So we try to look at new ways to do things, even with the old equipments. It's a good phrase that to say about the technology, because every time I said that I work with the rigs technologies, everyone's asking for me, so you build a new rig adaptive for this kind of job. You wanna build a new rigs, try to do a new project for this kind of job. No, that's not it. Okay.
Instead of building a new rig, we're just going to change the way we configure our existing rigs and our existing vessels, right? To get more out of what we already have available. Now, did you see through this? Did you see pushback from colleagues or partners? Because not everything is run completely by Petrobras down there. You've got a lot of other operator partners, both international and local. As well as the regulating body down there, which is separate from Petrobras. Did you get any pushback or concerns from partners or regulators when you were saying, "Hey, we can absolutely do a riser job off of this vessel, or we can take this vessel and do a riserless intervention"? Did you get pushback or concerns?
It's not always easy to put new ways to do the job. It's not easy. It's not that easy. You can always have to talk a lot, present a lot, and discuss a lot. The regulator, it's always, I have to say that the regulator is always open to talk, but it's not always to listen, right? So what we have been done with the regulator is try to anticipate the discussion. So we looking for bring a new way to do, or bring a new technology to do the job. We try to anticipate this discussion with the regulator. We have been trying talk very soon with the about the problem and address all concern that we put on the table, and to do a robust risk assessment to try to convince them that we are in the right path. We are doing a different job in a different way, but we are evaluating all our risks and making
you're doing the work of making sure that you're not losing something by losing efficiency, losing safety, or anything like that. Great question from Aberdeen from the audience here. What specific methods have been successful in increasing the versatility of intervention equipment for your companies? What methods have been successful at increasing that versatility?
Yeah, we have been working a lot in try to put in collect data. So this kind of data have been used to better understand our scenarios and to take better decisions right on time. We have been using this kind of data a lot to do risk analysis, to anticipate some problems when you have rush environmental scenarios. We have been take decisions before it's happening. So beyond that, we also have using reducing effort in the wellhead. That's method, and we have discussed a lot with projects to make this possible. I think that's the main methods that we have been using to achieve this. Right.
Another great question from the audience, Jack. Why don't you try this one? Beyond the equipment itself, are there any collaborative strategies between operators and service companies that can further improve those utilization rates? Are there ways to collaborate between companies, between stakeholders, to increase that utilization and that versatility?
Yeah, associated with this, we obviously do this a lot. It's not associated with what the presentation I gave, but we will work with the different operators with looking at the different vessels that are available, and when we do interventions, and trying to choose the right tool for the right project. And sometimes that's difficult because not all the vessels are available, at least in our arena in the Gulf of Mexico. So it is a 100% a collaboration between, hey, who has this vessel next? Where is it going to be used? And how do you manage the services on that vessel to make sure that you're successful?
That's right. I imagine once you've got all that equipment on the vessel, if you can leave it there, or at least minimize how much of it you have to take off in between projects, in between runs, it would definitely help everyone involved, both from a safety, environmental, and cost perspective, just an efficiency overall perspective. If you can leave some of that stuff installed, or at least leave the weld down plates installed. Another great question from the audience, Jack. Do you see this new flowback practice being utilized and beneficial in international work, or do you think that this is unique to the Gulf of Mexico?
Actually, it's probably more beneficial in international work because
that's what I was
very
thinking.
Few companies well test in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
Now, the benefit of the system that we used is you never know when you're going to use it, and I kind of had a flow diagram on there. It's basically, I think it's useful in any well. Now, some of the international work isn't expensive brines where you really see a benefit, but anywhere you can have MPT and reuse fluid, which is every well everywhere, it is beneficial. You may think you're spending more money up front, but you never know when you're going to have problems. And when you have problems, it more than pays for itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Spending a little more up front and absolutely getting an extremely useful set of tools in your offshore toolbox. And yeah, I agree. Any region that uses custom or special or just high spec fluids would benefit from this kind of methodology. Folks, I want to wrap this up. I want to thank everyone for their time and for the amazing work that y'all put into these projects and for sharing this with us. Again, both of these go to the core theme that the industry, our intervention industry, is looking at right now, and that is optimizing efficiency and optimizing the way that we do interventions. The best place to find oil is still in an oil well. And there's something wonderful about fixing broken wells and optimizing performing wells to get the absolute most out of them for our stakeholders and for our communities. And I want to applaud both of you for the work that you've done in these areas. And I want to invite both of you and everyone else to come to Galveston, Texas in August, the 13th through the 15th. At the Galveston Island Convention Center, we'll be putting on the Well Intervention Symposium again this year. I'm excited to be a moderator and a panel and a member of the committee. And I think there's a lot of really valuable stories to be told down there. And I look forward to seeing all of y'all in Galveston.
Thanks for listening to the SPE Live podcast. For more content, visit the SPE Energy Stream, the industry's digital pulse, at streaming.spe.org. If you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to subscribe and review. Join us next time on the SPE Live podcast.